My Mother's Child is brought to you by Crown Plaza Resort Guam. Book your reservations today. Call 671-646-5880.
Okay, so I think the first question that comes to mind is, because I'm the second youngest child, would love to know from your opinion what made the second child a little bit different. Maybe how did you parent differently the second round?
It was really easy because you were the baby. You ultimately became the baby. And so it was freer. It was, I don't know if the word is more forgiving of you and of me and of our family, but I think we were much more tolerant of a lot of things. As the baby in the family, I think, yeah, we let you do a lot of things that we probably didn't do with the first one. And in that way, I think you were able to have a lot more freedom to experiment and more freedom to live in your own way, not necessarily what is expected of, as an example, an eldest child, which, as you know, I am.
So I know we spent majority of time growing up here on Guam, but first 6 years of my life or so in San Francisco. So as we moved from San Francisco to Guam, what were some of the biggest adjustments that we had as kids?
I think we really chose to come back home, and a lot of it was, as I saw you growing, I knew that it was important for you to be embraced by and surrounded by family, because we didn't have that in San Francisco. And so there was a deliberate choice to come back home, and I think in learning that, there's a lot of great things being surrounded with family, but also sometimes there's a lot of privacy lost. But I think all in all, it was a really positive thing. I think as you and your sister grew up, there was so much love and so much support and so much love and attention given to the two of you by all of my siblings and mom and dad, that it was a very positive thing that we all learned. And I expected it, and I would never regret having come back home, because I think it was the best thing. It was the best thing that happened to us as a family.
So what is one thing that you have learned from your mom, from Nani, from all of our family, that you have passed down to us as your kids?
I would hope I did. Mom came from a large family of 6, and I was the oldest of 8. And a lot of times there was just so much going on. You know, choices. What do we do? Do we do this? Do we do that? What is the most important? And I think what I learned from my mom was in making choices about your family and your career, what things are going to happen that may never happen again in your life. Like, for example, you're only 6 years old once. You're only in the Christmas play once at a certain point. You're only in high school play or prom or whatever once. Those are the points and the memories that I think you choose to do, as opposed to something that happens every year, something that it's not that really important to you. But I think for me, and I hope you've also picked up on this, is that, you know, there will be so many choices in life. There will be so many choices about your work, about your personal life, about your family life. You know, what are the things that are pretty much never going to happen again? That's what you choose.
I have another question for you, which is, what is something that you've learned from me as your kid?
Oh, so much. Livia, you taught me to love freely. It's different, I think, when you come with a second child, or a baby, or in our case, you're the baby. And I even introduce you, this is my baby girl.
34 years old.
34 years old. And you taught me to be a little bit freer with life. Certainly when you came back home and with Wellness, I mean, you just brought dimension and to my life in terms of what's important, in terms of what matters, in terms of being mindful, in terms of being present, in terms of taking care of myself physically and mentally and spiritually and emotionally. All of those things, so many of those things I learned from you and being in your classes and being in your retreats. We've gone to all of your great retreats together. And I learned a lot about myself in those environments, and watching you put so much of yourself into making these experiences valuable and mindful and hoping to make an impact on people's lives. That's what I learned. And I think it's very difficult to be in a situation where you're able to make that impact on other people. Very difficult. So that's what I learned from you.
And then last question, because I am preparing to be a mom in just a few days, weeks now. What advice would you give me as a first-time mom to be?
Be forgiving of yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. One thing I learned about my mom was, you don't have to have the perfect house. You don't have the perfect everything in order. That's not what's necessary in being a mom. Being a mom is you being a mom to our newest member of the family. That's the most important thing. And I'm hopeful that maybe we can remind each other. Remember, Mom, you said this. Remember, Liv, you said this. I'm hoping that will be what you've learned and what we've taught each other. Because there are no do-overs. I know I've said this. There are no do-overs when it comes to raising children. You can't say, "Oh, I wish I had done this before." That moment is gone. And being present and being loving and being there for your child and your family are most important.
Baby boy coming.
Baby boy. Hi, baby boy.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
I love you too, baby. I love you too. I love you.
My Mother's Child is brought to you by Crown Plaza Resort Guam. Book your reservations today. Call 671-646-5880.